blockchain engineer at Biconomy, and we work on the like usability side of blockchain applications. And I'm going to talk about like how you can build very simplified dApps, and that improves the user experience for your end users through different products, or we'll get into it like the fee abstraction mechanisms, or it can be like easy onboarding, and even on the security side of things. So for that we have a ultimate toolkit called Biconomy SDK. So I'll talk a bit about it in the beginning, and then what I'm going to do is I'll be doing a workshop, which is like from going from a regular dApp to a dApp that is using Biconomy SDK, using like some of the features like gasless or forward. So we have been into the space for like 3 years, and we initially started with realizing the usability problems in the space. So for example, first thing was like gasless transactions. So that was the first product, and we have been continuously building for builders so that you can build like better applications, or your users can have better experiences when they come to your platform. And there are like a lot of dApps, and they have like come to us and told us that it improved like X amount of interaction, or in terms of user onboarding when they integrate the solutions of Biconomy. So I'll get into the products, or even like maybe we can chat later. So in blockchain, if it has to go on like next rapid growth cycle, there are three things, right? Like one is scalability, one is usability, and another is interoperability. Uh, in terms of scalability, we have made a very good progress. But there are not many dApps which are like actually usable. So there is still a lot of friction in terms of number of user interactions, right? And on the interoperability side as well, there are like multiple chains which are siloed, and then you need to like bridge your funds from one chain to another to do something on another chain. So this is a typical use case where user wants to like, for example, I have some funds or some shitcoin on let's say Avalanche, and I want to go and buy an NFT on Polygon. So I need to go through this entire process, like connecting the wallet and changing the RPC. I need to, if it's like completely new chain to my MetaMask or whichever wallet, then I need to like find out the details. And first transaction I'm going to do is to get some native tokens, because every interaction is like this, checkpoint, or where you're basically like, it's a highway and you're paying taxes, right? Like when we talk about gas, and you need to manage, the lot of other complexities as well in terms of failing transactions or bumping up the gas price, whichever wallet you are on. And that's just your one of the actions, which could be like 10 action thing, right? Like that you want to do as a user. So you go and sign, approve a transaction, and then once you have the token that you want, but that's still on like the chain, which is, let's say we started with Avalanche or Polygon, and then you need to bridge it to BNB, and then change the RPC again. Then you need to have the native token for that chain, and then let's say you are buying an NFT, so you do that transaction, and then you stake it to get some position. So it's a very messed up UI, and it takes like about 10 to 15 minutes. With Biconomy SDK, you can build like one-click experiences that is cross-chain, and even on a particular chain within like seconds. So I just want to play a video, I think that speaks better. Uh, let me know if you guys can hear the sound. All right, thanks. All right. So far we have gotten into why of it, right? Uh, 1 second. All right. So now I'll come to what is Biconomy SDK. So it's basically smart contract wallets plus the infrastructure to enable all of these one-click experiences which I just talked about, and it heavily utilizes account abstraction, that is EIP 4337. And then there are like other mechanisms because it's a smart contract wallet, right? So you can go wild with it, like with signature verifications, different kinds of like fee abstraction. So that is the idea. So first of all, account abstraction means that your account and signer is different. So you park your assets somewhere else, and in order to like initiate transactions, there is a key, signing key, which you can rotate, and you can have like multiple party computation, a lot of things. And what I mean by gas abstraction is that just the thing which I talked about, like you do not need to hold native assets. Someone can sponsor gas fees on behalf of you, right? Like in native tokens or even in like ERC20 tokens. Or if a dApp does not wish to sponsor, then they can make the user pay within using the assets that they are holding in their smart account. And in terms of chain abstraction, like once you integrate as a dApp, let's say I'm on 5 different chains, you do not need to make users change RPC and everything. So that's the idea, and I'll get more into more details, like in terms of architecture. So it's basically, like I said, there is a relayer, there's a bundler service for account abstraction, there is indexer service, there is a backend node, and there are several packages within the SDK, so you can use all of them at once, or some of them. And some of the features that are exported out is one of that is social login. So you can have like MPC support and social logins for completely new or not crypto savvy users, and just give them the EOA address or a signer, because basically smart contract wallet or this whole layer 0 which we have built on, it just needs a signer, right? So as long as you have a signer, on top of that there is a smart contract wallet which gets pinned up, and this signer will be the controller of the smart account or smart contract wallet. And whenever you want to initiate the transaction, it's always just a signature verification. So your end user just signs the message, but the fee abstraction happens like within the smart contract wallet. And then there is a relayer or a bundler to poke your wallet, because contract accounts cannot like initiate transaction on themselves. So multiple things like which you may be already aware about, like custom signatures schemes, and there is also something called concept of modules, where basically you can enable a certain module in your smart contract wallet and say that for example in Gnosis Safe. So the idea comes from Safe itself, where you can have like daily spend limit module, or you can have social recovery module, session keys, etc. So using this, the transaction can go through certain level of different access control, and that skips your original signer. So that's the idea. I'll just quickly script through it because I want to get into the workshop mainly. So this just talks about like fee abstraction, like gases transactions, and the amount of fees that you are going to pay by estimating yourself on like MetaMask, and then bumping up, going through that whole process. The relays to this job, like bumping up and choosing the optimum gas price, even in case of like gasless or any other case as well where user is paying. So let's get into the workshop. So what I've basically done is, let me just open this app. And so there is a version which is, very simple boilerplate. There are other demos which I'll link in the references at the end of the session. But basically what this does is, one second. Yeah. So I have, so here it's first demonstrating the connection from externally owned account. It could be like MetaMask or any other wallet. And there is a smart contract which basically, you know, so lets you lets you like set a purpose. So it's just a string which you set. Like it can be like capture a flag kind of a thing. But in order to do that, because I wanted to showcase some batching actions as well, because there are like multiple clicks, right? So in the current world, So there is like, I deployed a test token as well. So we are going to be playing with these two contracts. This basically, when you want to like set a purpose or this string on a state of the contract, you need to pay at least like one token, or you can pay more as well. So that's the idea. But because you are paying this, it's just a polling mechanism, right? Like, so contract will pull. So you need to give approval first, and then this code is set. So I'll open the app. Uh, Here I'm logging in with my MetaMask. So this is the address. I have some Matic and I have some test tokens as well. So first I'll approve the tokens. So this is just this is my first transaction. You'll set the gas price, then you will wait for it to get confirmed. Yep. So once this is done, let's say, so one purpose is like checking out the documentation. So this is just pretty basic stuff, right? Like, so I did two transactions. I needed to have like native tokens in Matic, so I'm doing everything on Mumbai right now. Now we will start, modifying this dApp by going through Biconomy documentation. So let me get into it. Our two of the transactions got confirmed, so we can check like a different code. Okay, this one is failed. Uh, so this is the, you know, uh, like main entry for the docs, and where what I'm going to use is there are like several packages. I'm going to use social login and also showcase like some sort of fee abstraction where we'll be using the gasless flow by account abstraction paymasters. So you can the paymaster I'm going to be using is a verifying paymaster. So basically, as a dApp, you register on a dashboard called Paymaster as a Service, where you basically can whitelist your contracts that okay, these are the methods which I want to sponsor, or these contracts, right? And then there can be like other levels of checks as well as conditional gasless. So as a dApp, you'll need API key. So we'll get into that. First, I'll like just start and start doing the changes here. I have already added some states. Oops. So here there is login section which I have left out, and there is a initialize wallet. So currently I'm initializing, or in the the demo before that, I just initialized with my EO account, and we'll be making changes here. So instead of this, we'll be using like a smart contract wallet, and have that context in our application to keep using smart contract wallet for the transactions. And to give you the overview of this, so basically I had like these two methods, right, which we just invoked. One is approve and one is like submit this purpose. But we'll be like batching it into just one transaction, and instead of paying for gas fees, someone else will sponsor it. And there can be like other ways as well, where you can get a fee code from the relayer which is plugged in with the SDK, right? So in that case, user pays. And you can also show in the UI that okay, these are the options, like X amount of USDC, Y amount of USDT, whichever tokens relay supports. So that is part of like other demos as well. So I shortly link the video over there. So coming back here, basically we'll be like changing the way login happens. So I'm going to start with the social login package from the SDK. Let me just comment out a few more things. All right. So yeah, first we need to import some uh, packages from Biconomy SDK. But first I'll start with social login. So for that you import Web3 auth. So I'll just do yarn add, and for like rest of the things I'm just going to keep following the documentation so you get an idea like which thing goes where. So we'll write this here. So this package gives you like all the types used within the SDK. So, and the main entry point or the package which is going to be used most is the smart account. So we'll go with the social login by the time I'll also install other things. Okay. So it says that you need to initialize the wallet. So I'll come here, I'll remove this stuff, not getting the EOA provider. And since we are on Mumbai, I'll just change the chain ID. So after this, we'll set the context. All right. And here in login, we need to show wallet. So if there is no login context, then if there is no provider, then basically I want to pop up the model for showing the wallet. So this is basically tells you that what is the EOA that you want to select, whether it is going to be like social login or is it going to be MetaMask also, because you can set up on top of MetaMask as well. So this is my login context dot show wallet. So I've done this part. Now the next thing is let me make sure I installed all the packages. Should be in my node modules already. Yeah. So now I'll go to this references section and we will install smart account package and then write the wallet connection. So coming back here, after here we can like log the EOA address, like what is it is going to be generated using like social login, or it can be like your EOA address as well. Now I will just like set the so we'll follow this connect wallet for get like creating an instance of a smart account and then initializing it. And if you notice, this wallet provider now becomes the provider which is coming from Web3 auth. So for the options, I think it's easier to copy from here. So what we are doing here is we are creating an instance of a smart account, and I'm passing the wallet provider which we got from our current logging context, and then these are the options like by default, SDK backend node will use the default values like in terms of supported network IDs, but you can change these values. And for the network config, if you want to use gaseous transaction through the paymaster dashboard, then you need to like provide a dApp API key. So the dashboard looks somewhat like this. You go to a dApp and you copy the API key. Currently, we are only supporting testnet for gaseous transactions, and for when user pays in ERC20 tokens, you can also do on like multiple mainnets. So now we have an instance of smart account, and you can log the address of the smart contract wallet, like going to be my address, and let me just set it to something. All right, so we have set a wallet provider and smart account address. Now you can also go and since there is like, if you want to also check like what are the transactions so far on the smart contract wallet, or if you need to like get the balances, you can use the balances endpoint, which will fetch the balance from the SDK. So this gives you, you can also get like USD value across all the supported chains which you have passed, or you can also get like token amounts, right? So if you need to show to the user in some form of widget, right? Because once you go from like EOA to using a smart contract wallet, that becomes your primary identity, right? So all the funds, like you can query like which NFTs are there, which tokens are there, and once this is done, so we are ready to do the transactions basically. So what I'm going to do here is let me comment out some stuff here as well. So I'll shortly get into the demo of this working. And when you initialize smart account, if you are using like webpack greater than 5, then you might run into some issues. So we have added proper like documentation to like make your way through it. So I have done with the logout, and so yeah, now we are not going to need these things anymore. So I'll just start implementing in this here, where we'll do like batching of both of these transactions. So let me copy what we were doing before for approve, and now we don't need the EO address anymore. And we'll create a transaction array. So basically we are following batching transaction docs from here. I use the API key, which is like shared across dApps on testnet, but you can spin one using the dashboard backend as well. And so once I've done this, I also need to set up like some watchers. So basically, like once you get the transaction hash, you do not need to like go to any external service like Blocknative to see what happened with the transaction on my smart contract wallet. So you will get the all the you can attach the listener basically using the emitter, which is the smart account class itself in the SDK. So that goes in the login section once the stuff has been done. So you get the events like transaction hash has been generated, and you also get the event when it gets mined, or even when relayer resubmits the transaction and the hash gets changed, right? So you get all the updates, and then you can even get the receipt and show to the user directly what happened. And this has to be created before you send any transaction, so that it starts listening like what's happening on this. Now coming back to my implementation, so I just want to create like an array. So basically, whatever you want to batch, you can just keep adding the transactions, right? Like I'm just doing very simple stuff, but it could be like, let's say, you're doing a swap, and then for that swap, you will require approval. Once you get the 2 tokens from the swap, then you want to, let's say, provide liquidity on some liquidity pool, and then you get an NFT. Then you want to stake that NFT, or move that liquidity to some other chain. So all of this can be like combined as a batch transaction. Now I'll copy my second interaction, which is setting this purpose. So I'll just take until this point. Let's push this. Okay, so now we are ready to dispatch this transaction through the relay. So let's say response, and all of these APIs are available on smart account instance. So what I'm going to do is I want to send a batch of transaction, and that has to be gasless. Like there are other methods. So if you notice here, and even if you go to the documentation, you get let's say send transaction is there, but you can like let's say prepare refund transaction batch, which basically creates a transaction payload in which the user itself will refund, and no one is sponsoring for the gas fees. So for this, we are going to go with this here, and the array which I just created is going to be part of it. And let me comment out some other stuff, which is just like it will show my EOA account and my smart contract wallet account as well here. All right, and let me just replace so that everything is consistent. So now this demo gets updated, and we can do several transactions, maybe using social login or even like using my MetaMask. Cool. So here I'm getting two options. Let's choose social login. So I need to open my Gmail. So it is, constructing the private key using the Web3 auth network. And now this is my EOA address, which has been, just spin up like it says a public private key pair, which I'm going to use for signing. And this is my smart contract wallet address, which is, created by Biconomy SDK. And these wallets are, counterfactual wallet address, so it does not need to be deployed. So if you check on Mumbai Explorer, it's just an account, right? So you can send funds to it. It's a contract for me because I already done some transactions. But if it's a new user, it's just an account. You can send, assets if it is supposed to pay like to the relay within the same transaction. Otherwise, like it just gets created as a first, section of the batch, which will, go through. So. Here, it's just one click. So where basically this guy needs to have some tokens, which we use for like, previous interaction. And then you just do like one click. So maybe I can do from other ways as well. Like, let me connect my MetaMask. So here my EOA becomes this guy. It already has some tokens, and my smart contract wallet address also changes, which has been spinned up on top of this. You can do this in like browser extensions as well. A lot of like tooling like MetaMask Snaps provided, so you can show in a widget kind of a view. Now let me check if or we can just send some tokens. Let me just check quickly. Cool. So I already have some Ethan tokens, and minimum amount is 1. So this is my fee token, and this is the contract we are going to interact with directly, right? Now let's come here, and maybe let's say something like start integration. So in this case, this guy just needs to sign a message, and then the transaction will go through on this smart account. It will go through the account abstraction entry point, and it will utilize the paymaster, which is associated with this dApp API key, which we just added in the smart account config. And as you can see, why I wrote those listeners is that it is subscribing on the transaction ID we received from the relay, and you get all the updates. So we get that this transaction hash got mined. So let's check this on Mumbai. Cool. So I paid two Ethereum tokens. Before that, I did approval of two tokens, and I also managed to change the state on the contract. So the set purpose is there, and now we go back to the contract. The state changes, and everything is just one click, and someone is sponsored for your gas fees. So you can do for your end users, or they can also pay in ERC20 tokens using the account abstraction flow as well, and using there are some methods in the wallet itself which allows you to do that. And anyone can, if you go through the docs, you can also plug in like your custom paymaster in the gasless section. So that's possible as well if you guys are building these kind of like custom contracts. So that was it for the demo for my side. And yeah, I have just added some resources or links. So there are other examples. What we did is that one of the products is Hyphen, which is a cross-chain bridge. So we forked that, and added the Biconomy SDK support to it. So you can go here, play with it, toggle, and do gasless transactions, or the transaction where user pays in whichever tokens they are, let's say, providing liquidity in, right? So that's the thing. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm almost done. Cool. I think I'll open to questions for 2 minutes. And if you guys are hacking, just have fun and check out the prizes using SDK. You can apply for Biconomy track or Ethereum Foundation track and build and have fun.